everyone. Good morning. I'm gonna get started in a minute, but I am sweating because, well, I am nervous. But has anybody watched the Fire Festival on Netflix? If you have, if you could type in the chat box. So if you are on your phone, you may have to look at the bottom of your screen, or if you're on your laptop or your desktop, it might be at the top of your screen. But I'm not all the way done, but I don't understand. If you haven't watched it, then you probably don't understand the reaction, but you need to watch it. Not that you need to, because if you need to procrastinate today, I say you should watch it, because I don't understand how somebody could pull off it's a scam. Like, how can you plan a festival for all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people? Oh, it's a lot. It's good, but it's a lot. I mean, Melvin, the details that we knew. I don't even think I knew at the time when it was in the news. Whew, but it shows you how far you can go with just a little bit of confidence and charisma. Oh, okay. You need to watch it though. I'm a focus. It's 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock for me. I'm a focus. Also, hopefully I sound somewhat clear. My body is trying to take me out, so I have my microphone in hopes that at the very least you can hear me, and that it sounds okay. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna get into the thing. It's negative 12 degrees here, y'all. I went to Chick-fil-A this morning. That was a disaster. My car didn't want to start because it was too cold, and that's not even the wind chill. It's just, I think it's supposed to be like negative. It's supposed to feel like negative 24 or something like that. Anywho, so today I'm going to be talking about the 3 secrets to finishing your proposal, even if you're a procrastinator. I'm going to ask that you eliminate all distractions. If anyone has Lamisha's phone number, she's saying that she can't get into Zoom. If someone could send her the link, please. I don't know, Melvin, do you have her number? If not, I can try to do it. I just don't want to get behind. But yeah, please eliminate all distractions. On Wednesday's call, I asked people to do that and my phone went off. So thank you so much. I'm going to make sure everything is off. But before I get into the heart of what I'm talking about, I just want to throw out this number of, I feel like we've all been told that only half of the people who go out for their doctorate finishes. The stat that I consistently saw was around 49 to 50%. The number is a little bit higher for those people who are doing the hard sciences, but for those of us in humanities, soft sciences, the number gets a little bit lower. I don't know if it's because more people are doing it or whatever. But yeah, only 49% of people are going to finish, and most of the people are going to stop after coursework, because you have to think about it, right? So by this point that you're getting a PhD, you've been through pre-K, you've been through elementary school, you've been through high school, you have an undergrad degree, a lot of us have master's degrees. So by the time you get to the PhD process, like, you've been in class, you can do the class part, right? Because you've been doing it for so long. Your brain, even if like the material is new or it's hard to keep up and manage it all, it's still, hey Lamisha, it's still like, for the most part, you got it. Like, I go to class, I get some books, I do some assignments, I get a syllabus, it's all good. But when you get to the part of now you have to do a prelims or a comps, depending on what your program calls it, and then you have to do a dissertation, all hell breaks loose because it's new. And so most people leave. Some people do it intentionally. They only wanted the courses so they can go get the next job. They don't really care about being a researcher. And other people just have a hard time with the writing a dissertation part. And that's really why I wanted to do this presentation, because this isn't about how smart you are or what knowledge you know. It's really, can you make it through the writing part? So if anytime I say something, you're like, yep, I can relate, please just type yes in the chat box. I'll see it. It's on the side. So if you ever see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at, is the chat box. But I want to talk about 5 of the most common reasons that either people find me or they decide to work with me at all, or even why you might be on this call. So the first reason is you just feel probably overwhelmed. You feel like there's so much to do, and you probably feel like you don't have enough time to get it all done, or you probably don't feel good. And so that's also digging into your time to get everything done. Maybe you are having writer's block. Yeah, Melvin says, yes, you're having writer's block. Like in your mind, generally, you know what you want to say. Like you have a topic, you probably been talking about it for the past however 2-3 years. You've been taking courses, or you've been talking about it with friends or your chair. But then for whatever reason, you go to sit down to write, and it's like the words won't come out, or they're not coming out in the way that you need them to. Or maybe when you do talk to people, they're not really clear about, like they have an idea of what you're trying to do, but it just seems a little bit hazy. Third reason, burnt out. It's different from reason number 1. So number 1 is like, maybe if I had some more time, it would be fine. Number 3 is like, no, I'm done. Like I just need a whole year of vacation so I can just sleep because I'm done. And that makes it difficult to continue. Reason number 4 is loneliness or isolation. Really feeling like no one understands, especially when friends and family, you go to talk to them. For them, it's like, you've been in school all this time. Why is this so different? Or you'll get through it, you're smart. Or you're a professional student. Like people tend to make jokes, but they don't really understand that the PhD process is completely different. It's not just another degree. It's not just another class. And so that can be lonely. And then 5th common reason is chair committee issues. A lot of people will say, well, they won't let me pass. I've been trying to work on this proposal for months, and they won't let me like get to the next step of just actually researching. And I thought the proposal was supposed to be the easy part. Like you're not supposed to know all the details. You're just supposed to be able to have an idea of what you're doing, and then you'll fill in the details later. That's a whole nother story about programs that adequately preparing people in terms of research, but usually people come to me for that. So if any of that resonates with you, let me know in the chat box. But the thing I want you to know is that I honestly believe that you know everything you need to know to finish this proposal. I believe that in terms of content itself, so content like the research or how you want to set it up, 80 to 90% is in your mind already. And that what you really need help with is the actual writing part, and having the motivation to sit down and to do so. I believe that perfectionism is a main thing, as killing your spirit and killing your will to continue on. I would say to stop reading. A lot of people will just say, no, I need to read more. I just need to read more. And you will get there. But reading is something that you are indulging in right now because it's easy to do. It's easy to like read something and take some notes on it because they're not your words, and you can just summarize it, right? And you can keep doing that. You know how to look up articles and do that, but the actual writing piece is a whole other thing. You need some community. You need some good people around you for the support and the accountability. And even if you have that on your own, like, you know, you can show up and sit down and write. It's just something about being around other people who are serious about their writing and serious about their progress that propels you to do more and to even push yourself. And momentum is going to be key. So a lot of times we get into this thing, and I do it. I still catch myself doing it. Like, oh, I don't need to do stuff during the week. I'm gonna have this whole 4 or 5 hour block on Saturday, and I'm getting all the writing done. And Saturday comes, and it's just hard to get started because all week I haven't been doing anything. I've been just probably watching TV or whatever. And so for me, motivation is not a thing that you could just get when you need it. Motivation is built from building momentum by doing little things every day, to get yourself into the routine. So I've been talking a little bit, and I didn't say who I was for those of you who do not know me. I am Marvette. I graduated from the University of Georgia in the College Student Affairs Administration PhD program. I have a business where I help PhD or doctoral students understand qualitative research so that they can finish their dissertation, graduate, and become doctor. I also work as a Women's Resource Center director at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. That is why it's negative 12 degrees today, but it's okay. I'm not bitter. I do want to talk to you a little bit about my PhD experience because it's really at the heart of why I started this business. So I started my PhD in the fall of 2013. To back up, I was working as a hall director, which for those of you who are not in student affairs, that means I was a person who lived with college students who were there for any administrative support, laundry needs or whatever, if they need to learn how to do laundry or whatever. And I was looking to transition out of that role and I was looking for something else. And my mentor at that time said, why don't you just go and get your PhD? And I was like, I'm too young. I need to wait. And she said, well, I did it. Why can't you do it? And she was like, and you should just go and apply to the University of Georgia because she was going there to work. And so I went to visit, I met faculty, I met current students. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is cool. I applied, it was the only program I applied to. Unfortunately, they let me in. And so I started fall 2013 and it was just a hard transition. It was a hard transition socially. Just, I had no idea what a PhD was. I just knew I wanted to get one, but I didn't understand like why people were behaving in a certain way inside the classroom. I felt like people were not being very real or genuine, or maybe they were and I just wasn't used to it. It was a different level of competition that I was used to. I don't know, it was just a lot of things and I didn't do well my first semester. The end of the first semester, I was on academic probation. And as you can imagine, that was very difficult because I've been smart. I've been the smart person my whole life. And how did I get to this PhD process and get placed on probation? But I did what I don't know, needed to do, I guess, and made the appropriate connections. I will say one of the major things I did was switch advisors, which helped a lot. So I finished that second semester with 4.0 and was feeling a little bit more confident. But then in my program, you have to do like a smaller research study before you can sit for your prelim exams and your dissertation, and it's called a publishable paper. And I was working on that, and I thought I was doing everything right when I went into my defense, and I failed. My committee said, no, this isn't good enough. We don't understand how you even got to this point or why you would be able to sit in this room. But the only way we will reconsider you passing this defense is if you go and you rewrite it over this weekend and you come back on Monday and show us again. So I rewrote a whole proposal in a weekend and I did that. And fortunately I was able to finish that, but I was still, so by this point my confidence is gone. Like I'm starting to get really burnt out, but I'm still trying to keep going because people keep saying you just got to keep going. And so that next year, which we're in fall 2015, I did my prelims. I wrote them, I defended them, I orally defended them. And then I want to say I defended it maybe November. And after they said I passed, I was tired. And so from like November 2015 to June 2016, I didn't pick up a piece of paper. I didn't look at my laptop. I think I may have been teaching. I don't know. I don't think maybe I had one class, but I didn't do anything for my dissertation. I didn't start it at all. And it wasn't until I had a friend who said, we're going on, and Lamisha went, we're going on this writing retreat. You're going on this writing retreat with us. So just pay your money. And even if you don't write, but you're coming. So we went to the mountains and I think I just brain dumped onto a page the whole weekend for chapter 2. There was no headings, it was not edited, and I just sent that to my chair, but it was enough to get me started. And so you can see here, this was my whole dissertation process. I don't really encourage anyone to do it this quickly, but sometimes you got to do what you have to do. I think had I been able to start sooner and not wait all the way until June, I would have had more time, but that's just life. But that was very hard. The dissertation process was a little bit easier because I was on a timeline, but all the other stuff was very difficult. And so I started this business because I wanted to be able to help people like demystify the process and really learn from my mistakes and really share. Now that I'm on this other side, I see things more clearer. And being able to explain things that most people really don't tell you, or I feel like they don't tell you in a direct way. So that was a longer way than I intended to tell you why I started that. Can you relate to any parts of my story or anything, or tell me what your biggest struggles are right now in your PhD process? Let me know in the chat. So some of the things that I learned that I wish somebody would have just told me directly to help me through this process are, one, to not compare yourself. So I know a lot of times we're scrolling on Facebook and on Instagram and you see all these people making all these milestones in the program. And I'm pretty sure like some of them, you're like, how did they, like how are they doing it? I know they don't even do work. Like I know they probably don't even belong in a PhD program, but yet they're here. Or maybe you're like, see, they're perfect. I'm never gonna be like them. They always know what to say. They have this whole system, and that's why they're defending whatever they're doing. And I'm never gonna be like that. And I'm saying that you are more likely making up a story about that person because we don't know what's going on with people. We don't know what they are doing or what they're struggling with. And sure, some people probably don't have to go through as many hoops as you. Maybe their chair is completely different. Maybe their chair is not as concerned about them being a certain quality of researcher or writer. But either way, paying attention to that is not going to help you in your process. So I'm seeing like, yes, Melvin, I was also exhausted after passing prelims, and it was hard for me to start on this proposal. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you for telling me. And Lamisha, I definitely relate to you talking about academic difficulty and how that can make us question our abilities. Ooh, yes. But now I just know, again, it's not even about you being smart. This whole PhD process is not about your smartness. It's all these other things. Reason number 2, it's about consistency. So you should show up no matter how you feel, and you should always be showing up to do one thing. So again, I spoke about like we want to do all these things at once. And if you could show up and do one thing every day, you would be so much further along. I think about what if I showed up from after my prelims and did just one thing. Like maybe my one thing would be I'm going to go find one article and that's it. And the next day I'm going to read this article. And that's it. And the third day, I'm just going to make a summary of this article. And if I just did that over and over, I wonder how much more progress. I would believe I probably would have been finished by June instead of just starting in June. Reason number 3, you need to get some writing friends. So it wasn't until that retreat and being around people from different programs, because it wasn't just all for my program, and seeing them write and seeing their processes and how they were thinking about that really helped to push me. And I would say that's the biggest reason why I finished. Because also at that point, I was over the PhD process. I was like, this is some BS. I don't want to do this. Who needs another degree? And I was really considering like leaving and job searching. And if it wasn't for that writing retreat, I probably would have left. Number 4 is commitment. So this is one thing I do. If you don't hear anything else in this presentation, is you have to narrow down your topic. You should narrow it down so much that you feel uncomfortable, to the point that you feel like, oh, I'm not going to be able to find participants, or I'm going to be leaving out so many people. When you start to think things like that, that's how you know you really are, you have a dissertation versus a research agenda. And sometimes your chair has a hard time saying it this way. They'll say things like, oh, I just think you need to read more so you can understand more about the literature, so you can really see what it is that you want to study or write. But really what they're saying is that it's not clear. You don't have a project. You're not clear about what it is that you want to do, why you want to do it, and how it's going to help the field. So narrow it down. And the fifth thing is everything that you include in your proposal needs to be related. So a lot of people just say, well, I have a theoretical framework, check, and I have a methodology, and I have some questions, but they all don't match with each other. And there should be a reason. You should be able to explain in a very quick and short way why you chose what you chose and what role it plays in your research project. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you need someone to like help you process that out with. But the reason most people don't pass their defenses is because they can't clearly say what it is that they're going to do and why they're doing it. You spend more time probably just doing literature review stuff instead of really thinking about you are responsible for a whole research project and you need to be able to say why you're doing it. And this is so for those of you who missed it, if you watched the Fire documentary, the Fire Festival documentary, this is where they missed out. They were so worried about marketing and making money that they didn't think about the logistics. That was a really strange relation, but it just made me think of that. Any questions about anything that I said? You'll also see that I didn't really talk that much about actual content in your proposal in terms of the secrets or what you need to do. And that's because content isn't really the most important part of your proposal. Your mindset, how you're thinking, like how you're managing your thoughts, your anxiety, how you feel is half of it. And then maybe like 25% of the rest is about your writing routine and how you show up for yourself every day. And maybe 5% is the actual content. So the actual, what does this theory mean? What literature? What is my methodology? Because most people that I work with, I can tell them exactly what to write that will pass them, which will get them passed for their proposal, and they still won't show up to do it. There are some people that I've worked with, like in the past, I don't do this as much anymore, that I literally wrote out their outline for them and they still didn't show up to do it. And that's how I really understood, looking at my own experience and looking at clients, that it's not about content. If you are feeling like, I also curse, so if that bothers you, I just wanted to give a warning. But if you feel like shit, you're not going to want to show up for yourself and write. You're going to want to just go and do Netflix. And why is that? So we're going to do a little psychology 101, going back to class. We've always been told that whenever our brain encounters a stress or something, stressful, that we either are going to fight, flight, or freeze. Now your brain can't distinguish between I'm going to die because a tiger is going to eat me and I'm going to die because this dissertation is hard. For your brain, it's the same thing. Again, going back to the whole, we're used to being in class, and maybe that gives you some anxiety because it's on a whole different level, it's a doctoral level. But for the most part, your brain is like, oh, we've done this for a while. We're going to go to class. We're going to do this book. At least I know for the most part what to expect. But your brain doesn't know what to expect when it comes to the dissertation because it's just your first time having to do everything on your own. And so in your brain, it's like, we're going to die. This is new. I don't get it. I don't want to do it. It doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable. Let's go back to doing something that's safe, that's easy, that's fun, like watching TV or hanging out with friends. Or if you're in a relationship, I'm just going to go on the couch and cuddle. Let's go and do that. That's fun. We don't have to think. We don't have to push ourselves. Writing a dissertation, we have to do that. And so in order to overcome that, the one main thing that I would say that you need to understand is your thoughts about whatever is happening. So you're writing your dissertation, your thoughts about that controls how you feel, and how you feel controls your actions, which controls your main thing. So if you want to finish your dissertation proposal, you have to feel good when you go to sit down and do it. And how you feel good is really thinking about your thoughts. And so think, instead of, like, oh, this is too hard, or I don't know what I'm doing, or it's too many moving pieces, it's too overwhelming. When you think thoughts like that, then you feel the stress. Like the anxiety just comes into your body, and then you don't want to sit there. You're not going to write. You're not going to feel good to write. And I'm not saying it's as easy as replace your thoughts. Think positive, happy thoughts. I'm saying in order to override that, your brain has to be in habit. So if you show up and you say, I just need to do this one thing today, your brain says, oh, we can do that. That's fine. And then you don't feel as stressed or anxious, and you go do that one thing and you make progress. And you're teaching your brain that writing a dissertation isn't a scary thing that's going to kill us. Writing this dissertation is something that's more doable. Does that make sense? Can you let me know in the comments? So when you don't manage your mind, or you're not paying attention to how you feel or your thoughts, then you again will lead to, thank y'all, it will lead to procrastination. It will lead to you saying every week you got a new writing plan. Every week, oh, I'm gonna, and every time you do a new writing plan, you make it even more complicated. So maybe last week you were supposed to meet with, maybe you got a couple of friends that you write with, y'all was supposed to meet on Sunday for 2 hours, but then you met for the 2 hours and nothing. Maybe you procrastinated, maybe you were scrolling, maybe you did work emails, maybe you did everything else but the actual writing of the proposal. And so then Sunday night comes and you sit down, you're like, okay, well, I didn't do anything this week. Now next week, every day I'm gonna wake up 2 hours early and I'm gonna write for 2 hours, and then on Saturday and Sunday I'm gonna write all day. I'm gonna just lock myself in a room. We make it even more complicated because we think, well, that's the only way that we can get things done. Because clearly when we only had that one day on Sunday for 2 hours to write, that didn't do anything. So now we need to like speed up, and we need to make up for lost time. And that continues to lead to anxiety, overwhelm, and confusion, because now you're even more stressed, because now there's this time crunch. And it doesn't necessarily help you to write more. You just put more pressure on yourself. And so something that I do this every morning, and when I don't do it, like I didn't do this on Thursday when I felt it. So one thing that you can do to get yourself in a routine, especially when you're having a hard day, is taking 10 minutes, taking out a piece of paper. Trying to find my notebook. I have a notebook. So this is my notebook. And I sit down and I write out all my thoughts that I'm having in the morning. I try to aim for like filling up a whole page, something like 15 or 20. I don't necessarily count, but just trying to spend at least 5 minutes just writing out my thoughts. And I wake up at 4 o'clock, and those thoughts could be something like, why am I up at 4? Because even though it's been 2 months, I still don't understand why I'm doing it. I'm tired. I don't want to do this. What am I going to have for dinner? And then eventually it started getting to like the real stuff. Like, I feel like shit. This is stupid. Nothing I'm doing is working. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's just something about writing that out so you can be more conscious of it. So you write all that out and you say, it's not in a judgment way. We're not trying to judge what we're thinking. We're just trying to get it out of our heads. So you write that, and then I say, how do I want to feel today? This is what my brain is leading me to, and that feels not good. But how do I want to feel today? Oh, I want to feel confident today. And if I felt confident today, if I felt that feeling today, what would I do? How would I act if I really felt confident? And I would say, I will go to work. I will go with my meetings. I'll be very sure of what I want to say. I'll be very deliberate in getting things done. And I'll come home and feeling good, knowing that I felt confident. And then I say, what is one thing that I can do from that list that I just named that I can definitely do today? Well, I could check my emails. This is a random example I just came up with the top of my head. But as long as I do that one thing, so if it was checking my emails, then I feel good, because I'm practicing showing up for myself and doing one thing. So for your dissertation, it could be, how do you want to feel? So if you wanted to feel confident about your dissertation, how would you act if you felt confident about writing it? Well, at the time, I have 2 hours today in between my assistantship and work. I can sit down, I can read one article. And if I feel good, maybe write something. But really, if I just read this one article, I feel like I did something today. I feel confident about it. And you do that one thing. And once you do that one thing, you celebrate, and it's fine. If you could do more, great, do more. But if not, at least you know you did that one thing. And if you show up consistently every day doing that, again, you would make progress. Now, your brain might be saying, though, that's not enough for me to finish my dissertation. If I only do one thing every day, that's not enough. I'm never going to finish. That's not enough for me to have a full proposal by the time that I need to have it. And my question to you is what you're doing now, for most of you, is that working? Are you doing one thing? So if I'm looking back at myself from November 2015 to June 2016, I wasn't doing anything. It was all this time was passing, and I was trying to figure out everything in my head, which a lot of us do. We try to figure it out in our heads, but we're not doing anything. And the one thing I want you to really think about is, what can you do? Because everything will become clear. You'll be able to figure out things the more that you do them. But instead of thinking about them and constantly talking it out without actually taking action, it's going to put you back on your timeline than just doing one thing every day. And in that way, you have more time for other stuff, and you don't have to necessarily feel guilty about the other stuff. Is that making sense? So again, to reiterate, your mindset, managing your thoughts, is 50%, making sure that you can get yourself in a place where you feel good and you feel like you want to write. Your routine, so what do you do every day? So even if it's not what I just talked about, doing the thought, like writing your thoughts down and choosing the one thing, even if that isn't something that's going to work for you, at least having something small that you do every day that trains your brain, like to get into, we do action. We write something, we read something, and then the content will come. Because again, people can tell you, you can look up stuff, people can tell you exactly what to do, but again, if you're not managing your thoughts, your mind, and getting in the habit and the practice of doing something, that won't matter. So did I delete my slide? Okay, no. So again, the pitfalls is motivation is a lie, because it's not something that you wake up one day and say, I just need to go do something to motivate me. And maybe you find a video, maybe a conversation can inspire you to take action. But what do you do day in and day out to stay motivated? And that's about your routine. To-do lists don't work, or new plans don't work, because once you write out all the things that you have to do, your brain is constantly then searching and trying to figure out, how are we going to do all of it? So even if you move on, say you go and you work out, like you write out a to-do list in the morning and then you go work out, your subconscious brain will be trying to figure out, how are we going to do all those things we just said? Because your brain likes to solve problems and questions. And so even if you're not conscious of it, it's still going to be working at you. And that's how anxiety starts to build up in us, and we're not even aware of it. I don't know if some days you have, like, you're like, I feel like it's a good day, but for some reason I still feel anxious. And I notice that when I'm trying to write these huge to-do lists, that my brain becomes more anxious, instead of trying to figure out this one thing that I can do and do that. And then trying to do this by yourself will just make you feel lonely and isolated, and will contribute to that anxiety. So the 3 secrets, which are not really secret, thoughts create emotions, which create actions. So if you want to be a person who shows up every day or most days and you write, who's making steady progress on your proposal, then you have to think about, how do you want to feel? And in order to think about how you want to feel, you have to think about your thoughts. But right now, it just may be easier just to say, I'm going to do this routine that's going to make me feel a certain way, and I'm going to take this action as a result. Success is in your routine. So what you do every day, trains your brain that we don't need to think about it because we're used to it. It's not something, we're not going to die. We do this every day. So I show up and I do this one thing for my dissertation every day. We're doing one thing. Your brain then doesn't go into anxiety. And then community makes all the difference. Any questions or anything about that? Makes sense? Type yes in the chat if it makes sense. Okay, thank you. So we could have this conversation. I could call you every day and try to say, did you do your one thing, and motivate you? But what happens when life comes in? What happens when you are thrown off of your routine? Or what happens when you're like, oh, I've been doing so good all week. I don't need to do that today. Today, I'm just going to go do something else. And then 3-4 days go by, weeks go by, and you realize, oh, I haven't done anything. So that is why I created right away. It's an accountability group, and we have, I think, yeah, Lamisha and Margaret is here, and they can talk about it if they feel comfortable. But it's a working accountability group. We meet weekly to get things done. Every time we meet, it's for 2 hours. And it's just something about looking on the screen. So it's just like this in a Zoom call, but you can see everybody who's there. But we work, and it's something about looking at the screen and seeing other people write, or just knowing that other people are there working for the 2 hours that helps you to be motivated to write. I talk about productivity tips or writing tips to help improve your writing and your mindset. Again, so we can manage our thoughts and our emotions. Let's see. It used to be just Sundays that we were meeting, but for February, going to be expanding the time. And so not only Sundays, 9 to 5, but Wednesdays at 5 and Fridays 11. All times are in Central time zone because that's where I am. And so you can do some quick math to do that Eastern, just knowing that Eastern is an hour up, and West Coast time, I think, is 2 hours earlier. So we will be starting this new schedule on Friday the 1st at 11 a.m. So that's 5 times. And you can come to all the writing times, or you could, I just say, at least come to one a week, knowing that that's going to be your routine every week. That knowing if I don't do anything all week, I have this one time dedicated that I'm going to get things done. And it's 2 hours so that you're not burning yourself out. Because most people who come will continue to work past the 2 hours, and that's fine. But again, this is about telling your brain that it's not going to be something so dramatic or drastic. It's something that's doable. And then you have the private Facebook group, which I have helped now to make it more interactive for folks who are in it now. So you know it's a little bit different, but it's there. We're going to be doing more things about managing your progress and really getting to see what everybody else is doing and working on, and getting support from each other. And then I offer feedback on your writing either during the call or during the week if you just let me know and email me. So again, that's 5 weekly working sessions, a private Facebook group. You get to manage your progress. You get support from other people and feedback on your writing. It is $30 a month. Now you are not locked in for like a certain amount of months. If at any point you want to cancel it, you just let me know before or the 28th of each month. And I will cancel your subscription. For most people who have been with me since December, I found it useful showing up for themselves. Lamisha says right away has been really good. To know that everyone is there to get things done is motivating. Yeah, and I think I have your words, Lamisha. I think this is yours. So I don't know if you want to talk about trying to put you on the spot. That's the other thing. I'm trying not to put people on the spot because I'm an introvert and I don't necessarily want people making me talk when I don't want to talk. But yeah, Lamisha has been working on her literature review, and I feel like you've been making a lot of progress. And you're just about to wrap up this whole proposal thing. I'm so excited. Layla, who is also a doc student, has been using the time to not only work on her proposal, but also working on class stuff. So she grades papers or she was working on a syllabus in December. And so people use this time to work on other things as well, but mainly they use it to work on their dissertation proposal. Mika or Margaret, I don't know if you want to say anything, but I feel like everybody's been making a lot of progress, and I've been making a lot of progress for my own writing because I was putting that off last year, balancing the business and work. I wasn't making any time for writing, so right away has helped me to do that. Pika says, Ditto has been helpful. It is a structured way to make progress. And so that's the end of like the formal slides. I can answer any questions about right away or any other questions about things that I talked about or any other questions that you may have. You can type it in the chat or I can bring you on to camera, but I don't know if that's scary for people.